Welcome back. And now let's talk about education in Nigeria. As the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, ended its National Executive Committee (NEC) meeting late Monday yesterday with a resolution not to embark on another strike action over the payment of half salaries to members by the federal government. In a statement made available to the Punch News on Tuesday after the National Executive Council meeting and signed by ASUU's President Professor Emmanuel Oshodeke, the union said that it would continue to pursue a positive resolution of the avoidable crisis within the ambit of legality without compromising the interest and the welfare of Nigerian intellectuals.
Well, at a emergency meeting of the ASUU's National Executive Committee held on Monday, November 7, 2022, the union deliberated on developments since the suspension of the strike. NEC noted with dismay that paying academics on a pro-rata basis, like casual workers, is unprecedented in the history of university-oriented labor relations, and therefore condemned this attempt to reduce Nigerian scholars to casual workers in its entirety. Before we bring in our guest, News Central's Breakfast Central is running a poll on Twitter. Why don't you go on Twitter and tell us what you think about the polls that will equally be showing on your screen pretty soon. And that poll, we're looking at the fact whether ASUU strike is a half salary payment for Nigerian university lecturers justifiable. I mean, I've asked questions here earlier on. They didn't work from February 14 up until September 14th, if you put it that way, tentatively. And then they've been given half salary for the month of October because they actually resumed and they took up their duties. What happened to the months that they weren't paid? Well, joining us this very morning is Comrade Azeem Salako. He is a political scientist and lecturer at Lagos State University of Science and Technology. Welcome and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma. Good morning, Africa.
Good morning. So maybe we should start off the conversation with the poll and get your thoughts on this. Femi Gbajabiamila has also stated reasons why the federal government will not pay ASUU fully. Are you in support of this? Do you think that it's in any way justifiable? Of course, I don't expect you to, but I'll just ask. I don't expect you to support this because you're a lecturer as well.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning again. Today, and just like each time a conversation introduces federal government ASUU as a topic for public discussion, the discussion usually indicates a rioting moment. And of course, this is one of the major sources of where we are today as far as federal government ASUU imbroglio is concerned. In philosophy, there is something we call heuristic argument. An heuristic argument is one that reeks of a constant dispute instead of resolving disagreement. And I have argued constantly that one of the major problems in the educational sector vis-a-vis ASUU federal government is an issue of conception and the design of relationship. Now, the federal government ASUU is known of having constant disputation, and in fact, the public or the bystanders, they have also interpret and define federal government ASUU relationship as one that must start and also end in dispute. And if you ask me, the purpose of establishment of the federal government on the one hand, and also the ASUU as a union on the other, does not show permanent resentment or permanent anger or permanent acrimonious relationship. So where we are today, instead of coming together to address an avoidable crisis, because we both see both institutions as parties that must come together to weary, parties that must come together to fight, parties that must only relate as if they are in the battlefield. And that is where a simple and unavoidable issue has turned to again.
All right, comrade.
Now, if you ask me to the pro-rata salary,
yes,
I will tell you that this is just again a face of the face-off between federal government and also the ASUU. And of course, the dynamic this time around is that it is going from ritual striking actions and to now part paying over salaries. The question of justification is evident. Although I understand that this issue, one must be very careful because different and varied emotions have been brought into the public domain. On the one hand, I am a doctoral student, a PhD student at the University of Ibadan. I'm also a teacher at the Lagos State University of Science and Technology, although not a member of the university is yet to have its members to have his staff as members of ASUU. But on the issue of justification, no work, no pay, or no pay, no work. On the one hand, the federal government has said that they are implementing the no work, no pay policy. The
all right, Comrade Azeem, I'm sorry we have to, Comrade Azeem, Comrade, can you hear us? Can you hear us? Hello, Comrade, can you hear us? I'm sure you can hear us. Please, we'd like if your responses can be pretty short so we can really get the meat out of this conversation as we're running out of time. Very quickly, I need to ask you a question very quickly, please. Horewa, or better still, Serap, and the likes have warned the current government that should there be any other strike, it would lead to chaos, kind of like a reminiscent of what we saw come October 2020, if you do recall, during the NSAS period, especially stating that youths are becoming idle, and should we go into another strike, it would lead to chaos, not just in a particular state, but as a country, looking at the elections that are forthcoming. But my question to you is, what do you think ASUU should do right about now? Looking at the fact that it's pro rata that the government is offering, what should they do in few seconds, please?
So quickly, what ASUU should do in response to the pro-rata salary is to find a need to meet with the federal government. And, you know, the source of this issue is that the two parties find it difficult to understand that they are institutions that are established to advance educational sector in Nigeria. And that is exactly the point I am trying to construct. Now, the issue has turned to an egoistic clash, and I find no reason why a common balance cannot be struck. Now, on the response of ASUU, I believe, and I still insist, and I still maintain, that there is a need for ASUU to meet with the federal government. And I understand and I believe that in moment or in terms of negotiations, if diplomatic relationship or if different diplomatic instruments, strategies are deployed by the members of ASUU, I am assured that this crisis can be addressed, including the pro-rata salary. What the federal government are only trying to say is that members of ASUU who they employ cannot dictate for them. You cannot work. You cannot be employed to work, and you don't provide the service, and you still expect to be paid. Now, if ASUU would want this decision to be changed, I believe that the way to go about it is not not by also deploying strategies that can worsen the situation. It's just about being ready to meet with the federal government to address this issue.
Comrade, thank you so much for your time this morning. We hope that this is resolved amicably. Federal government has come out to say that if they pay this, it might encourage disruptive strike actions, meaning that from time to time people will feel like it's okay to go on strike because they will still get paid. I wanted to get your thoughts on that, but we've unfortunately run out of time. But we certainly would love to have you join us back on the show to discuss this fully. Thank you for your time this morning.